Hello and welcome to the Birds on Power Lines podcast. And in this episode, we are discussing the 2024 Doctor Who Christmas special. If this is the first time you've listened to us at Birds on Power Lines, we've actually done quite a bit of Doctor Who, even though now we're coming back to it after a bit of hiatus. We did do audio-only podcasts for the last season, the 2023 Christmas special, as well as the 60th anniversary special episodes. Yeah. So if you are interested in Doctor Who and you enjoy listening to us, please check those out. Those are audio only. If you are now listening to us on an audio only platform, I'll just let you know that this one is also a video format podcast, and you can find us on YouTube at Birds on Power Lines Podcast. Yep. And so hopefully you will enjoy this and enjoy those other podcasts as well. So if you're new to this, what we tend to do is we watch things together or we share things together, and we don't know what we are going to say to each other before we start into our podcast. So in this for this one, we had decided beforehand that this one would begin. So I'll let you get to it, and then I will share what I was thinking.
Okay. Well, so this episode, I kind of was really wondering, just at the start, how did everything, like, with the locked door in the hotel room, like, I that's not something that I've really noticed that often. I mean, I'm sure that's definitely happened to me throughout, like, my life staying in hotel rooms, but, like, it's not a thing that I've overtly noticed. I just like, oh, I guess there's a door to another room, but it's never really been something that I would, like, think, oh, yeah, we could make an entire Christmas special about. And then also, how did we connect? I mean, I get the connection from, like, the locked door in a hotel room to a time hotel. Yeah, I guess, like, that makes sense. But then somehow, I guess we're doing a Christmas special now. So
I thought that was really cool. Like, because there is very often a locked door in a hotel room. Yeah. And going to the adjoining room. But I thought that was kind of clever.
Yeah, I just thought it was an
just like, there's always a locked door. So maybe it's more common in England to have the locked door, but it's definitely something I've encountered here quite often with the adjoining room. So here the adjoining room is actually the lobby of a time hotel. Yeah. So it's just, to me, it was a completely new idea. Yeah, so I was just like, Stephen Moffat.
Yeah. I was expecting, like, I mean, based on the last season that we've seen, like, most Moffat episodes are a little bit, like,
dark?
Yeah, but this one, I was kind of expecting it the whole time. This one, like, it was and it wasn't. It was. I mean, maybe because it was, like, one of the holiday specials, but it wasn't, like, what I was expecting. Which is good.
You don't have a monster that is all right. Yeah, I'll give you that.
But I will talk a little bit more about, like, what I thought was gonna happen. But so I just thought it was interesting, and it did take me, like, a little while to figure out, like, what exactly was going on because, like, we're just kind of basically just dropped into the episode, like, oh, the doctor's going around doing room service to places that are not supposed to have the room service. But I thought that was a good way to start off the episode.
Yeah, but it was such an odd thing to have together. What a combination. Pumpkin spice latte and a ham and cheese toasty.
What is a toasty, actually?
It's sandwich? I don't think this is a British thing. I don't think it's a sandwich, but it's, I'm imagining it like a little pastry with...
Maybe. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Anyway, but it was
if you know what a toasty is and you're from England, please let us know.
Yeah. That caught me a little bit off guard. But I actually, like, and another thing that kind of surprised me was that I was thinking that Joy was going to be the permanent companion, but I guess...
I had that feeling too.
But I guess she wasn't.
Yeah, so I didn't actually write anything about that, but
I thought that she was going to be.
But then I recall it was something, one of the actresses from, actually the Boom episode, I think, is going to become...
Andor. And she's from Andor too.
Oh, is she?
Okay. Andor. Yeah, but
yeah. Oh, well, I guess you looked it up.
I did. I looked it up. And actually, so that actress and Rhodes Ruby is actually going to still be a recurring companion as well. Yeah. So the two of them are going to be the companions
in
this coming season. But I did not remember that when we were watching the episodes. I was like a little bit surprised. Like,
Yeah, at the
I was
end,
like,
just
oh,
like,
okay. I
yeah.
thought this was supposed to, but yeah, but it was interesting. And actually, like the entire time, I was thinking, oh, nothing bad is gonna happen to her. I mean,
Yeah.
technically, like yes and no, but
We'll talk a bit more about it when I tell you what I was thinking, and then we'll see what we come up with as a conclusion to that.
And well, and then I was thinking, watching the Doctor interacting with Anita during that entire year, I really liked that part, and I was thinking at that point that she was gonna be the companion, but then she got recruited by the Time Hotel. Which is nice. It's good for her. Because now
I
maybe
liked
we
that
might
so much.
I hope we get to see more of her because like that was a nice little that's a nice little thing.
I think he's starting to relate to number 14 with that little year of
like living, and then and then I also thought that it kind of showed how like the Doctor is still like he still is like continuing from the last season. He still is like growing and healing as like an entity, as a person, as an entity, and like really just like trying to live in the moment. Like he said, like he really said, like I haven't done that before. Or he hasn't done that for a really long time.
Right.
And like I just thought it was really nice because like you know like in the holiday specials are like usually like have something to do with like well at least the two that we've seen have something to do with some kind of like companionship and being together with people, and it was nice to see that like that was such a like a big part of this episode in particular because like he spent that entire year with Anita.
And just
being
chill.
Yeah. And it was nice. It was interesting to see all the things that were like happening with them together, and like the whole little like all lang syne thing that they had together. That was cute. That was
really
cute.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then another thing I was thinking about, so the thing with the code that happened, like, so we get that the Doctor remembered the code from his future stuff, but how did, like, some Doctor originally must have figured that out.
I'll bring that up, because I have a thing on that. It's something about the bootstrap something or other.
Paradox? The bootstrap paradox?
The bootstrap paradox.
Yeah, okay.
And that must be, like, going back to something else.
I think
like previous Doctor Who things where... what it means to me, and correct if you're listening to this and I'm completely wrong, it's like if he goes into the future and then comes back in some sort of a loop, you can completely make stuff up.
I guess. I mean, that is kind
he
of
can kind of override, because that's kind of what he did. He just went, because I thought he was going to go
and like go on an adventure
look for this thing, but he just waited it out, opened the door and said, "Here's the code." So I think he already knew that this was going to be a bootstrap paradox and just went with it, and he just had to wait it out.
But it was interesting.
Yeah.
And another thing that like because like we're I don't remember if this really happened very much, but like in the previous season, but like we're really like throughout this episode the Doctor's always been like just acting on random like feelings and instincts, and I'm kind of wondering how is he doing that? I mean, he's the Doctor, I guess, but
he's going with this because he has that wealth of knowledge that he's drawing upon. So it's like the wisdom of
he feels
the ages.
like he keeps asking himself, "Oh, why did I do that?" And it's like it's really interesting.
Why did I just?
It's really interesting. It was really interesting.
Why
to, like,
did I
see
just
that.
pick up my sonic screwdriver?
Yeah. And it was a bit like done in kind of almost like semi-comedic way, and I just thought that was interesting. And then
Judy's good at that. Like
yeah. And then so then going back to what I was kind of expecting to happen, I got like really bad flashbacks to the last season when Trev popped up out of the villain guard thing, and that freaked me out so much because
just
like if you listen to our previous episodes, like
that
I
was
really
not
did not
their
like
favorite episode.
I did not like that. I did not like that.
You didn't like that. You know,
the one with the on that play, I don't remember what the episode. Boom. It was
it's
Boom.
called Boom.
It was Boom. Yeah, I did not like that, and that really reminded me of that. And I was really freaked out for a few seconds.
the whole way of them disintegrating at the end.
I did not like that. So then I was thinking that like really it would be really bad, but then it ended up actually kind of being a bit sweet at the end. With Joy and like all of the other people that we saw like die.
Yeah. I think it would have been nice to flash through more people, because I would have imagined that there was more.
There was probably, but it makes sense to only do the ones that we knew of.
Yeah, just a few extra would have been.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like, look at all the different.
I did think that was kind of nice to like give a little bit of closure to that.
Yeah.
And then finally, I did think that the doctor would call like Ruby at the end, like when Ruby was looking at Joy, and she picked up the phone. I was actually thinking that would be the doctor calling her. I mean, I understand why it wasn't, but I did think that I did think that he would call her eventually. But
yeah, I don't know. I didn't have an opinion on that. But I think,
okay,
but then when she looked up at the star, she felt like, oh, like she knew somehow.
And that makes sense. so those are my main thoughts on.
Those are your main thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see what I was thinking. So some of them like I sort of interjected, but and then if you're not familiar, I always write everything down. So right from the start, I said so much going on right from the get-go, and we're like, oh my god, So at first when I started thinking about this and reflecting on it. Aside from the fact that we watched it really late last night, I didn't really know where to begin because he starts off, he's on the Orient Express. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I actually I was trying to place what character she was, and then if you don't know, looked already. Apparently, she is one of the female characters from Doctor No, one of the companions or friends for James Bond. Apparently that's what it is. Did not know that. But you could tell that she was on the Orient Express. I thought there was more to it than that. And then of course going to base camp with Hillary and Norgay, and then World War II bombing. And I didn't know
who were did we not?
I can't remember it. Okay. There is a really good wiki episode. A really good wiki on this on the internet, and it says who the people are. I didn't know who they were, but it was.
They must have been important.
It was set in the Queen's Hotel, which I didn't know anything about, but I knew it was. So it's like flashing through all of these different time periods, but those were all pretty close together, relatively speaking, versus going back 75 million years, 75 or whatever million years ago. So I was like, what do these people all have to do with him?
I guess
going
not really nothing. No.
I mean, ultimately, it was just to have the rope.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
To have the rope and have something to attach it to, So, but yeah, so that
it was good that they actually used that.
Yeah. So, which was very clever. You could see how Stephen Moffat's brain is working here. Well, we need a rope. What would we need? Well, we need one that was really long.
We need something
Everest.
Going fast.
We need something heavy and going very fast in the opposite. A train would be good, So I mean, you can sort of see how those all came together and why they were used, and then the Orient Express. Well, that was just cool. So there was that. So there's so many things, so many different things going on, and the whole thing with the ham and cheese toastie and the pumpkin latte, pumpkin spice latte, or the pumpkin latte. It was funny.
I thought he was going to give it joy. I honestly thought that he was going to give it joy.
I still don't know why that was a thing, but anyways, it was funny.
And he ordered that to eat. He literally ordered that.
And then having it being ready for him. I thought that was like, oh, that would be cool. Anyways, and so I did think it was a clever play on the locked door. And I thought it was really stretching the timey-wimey thing, because here you have the TARDIS landing in the Time Hotel.
How would that happen? How does it? Because the TARDIS can be outside of time, but then wouldn't it be
I don't know. I just that's why he says it's a real play on the timey-wimey.
And the one thing about the Time Hotel is so we see it's 20, 24, 45 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or 24, 20 or something. 24 something.
Whatever.
Yeah. But there's time after that. So how does it go into the future?
That was fun.
It's just interesting.
I just thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about.
And the thing I wanted to say first off is that the sets again were fantastic.
Yeah, they look very nice.
And if you go to that wiki page, maybe I'll put a link to it in the description. But it talks about how they set them up and who did them. Very cool. And it was really seamless and it looked great. Yeah. So I thought that was great. And then I did see the idea of the Christmas star coming up. I was like, I make a bet that's going to be the Christmas star. As soon as I saw that it was like a star seed thing and you're going to make a star.
I did not know what was going on with that.
I had a feeling that was going to happen. And then I said, the whole Boom episode thing with the Velengard. As I know in Boom they didn't disintegrate like that, but it was the complete destruction of the body, which was the thing that I thought, this is harkening
honestly
back
that would have been better, and that would have been I would have liked that better, and I would have liked Boom better if they had done that instead of left a carbon tube.
I agree. I love that year with the Doctor and Anita, and very well cast in the Sandringham Hotel. Game night, which is essentially chair night. Yeah. Chair night, game night. I like that. I like that. And that's supposed to be your bonding night with your family, right? So I thought that was, he's making a family. And she, one reason she'd be a great companion is that she just went with all the weirdness that was going on, like the mop doing its thing. She didn't freak out. She was just like, okay,
and then she walked in on the whole like Doctor and Sorian standoff,
Solarian or whatever.
Stands like,
okay, well, it's typical men, like
that doesn't normally happen here.
So you kind of wonder, like, so she was definitely someone that could take things in stride. And then having the Doctor referring to living day by day in a linear time frame, like I really thought that was good. And
because of course he does technically live day by day, but it's never one day after the other. It's always like
it's right. That's exactly
all over the place.
And then the fact that Joy was at the end even saying that the Doctor needed a friend and a constant friend. So like we know that 14 is with his friend. So now this one also needs to have a constant companion. I said I'm not clear on the bootstrap paradox and just how it actually works. But anyways, it's it
was a thing that happened.
We have to just accept that in the Doctor Who reality. So that's just something that is, right?
I mean, it makes sense.
But I was completely confused by it because I'd never heard of it before. So that's why I had to look that up. I did catch the reference on Partygate and the death of Joy's mom. I got that right away. Well, because you're not into politics as much as I am, and I thought, wow, that is a real commentary and anger on that. So that was not good, and how she lost her mom, and a lot of people did lose someone during that, and meanwhile. Partygate. So if you don't know what Partygate is, basically the politicians were telling everybody to stay at home and you can't be with anyone. Meanwhile, they were having parties and enjoying wine and cheese together, and all getting COVID afterwards. So that was the thing. But I did like how at the end she was able to join with her mom forever.
I was wondering exactly how that did happen.
Yes, so I'm going to get to that. And that's why I thought maybe we could talk about it and maybe come to a consensus. So I did not really get how Trev, who I love, we didn't talk at all about Trev. He was great.
Poor Trev.
But he was wanting to do his mission all the way to the end, and he continued to that. But so I don't really understand how that thwarted Valengard along with Joy, because the star was still made. I mean, it didn't destroy the Earth. I understand that they went up and were able to. They planned to get away from the planet to make that star. So I guess the star was inevitable. But I'm still thinking that Valengard is still benefiting from that star as a constant form of energy.
I think it was something similar to what happened in Boom with that one, the guy who was. We saw like die like in the beginning of the episode.
So the one guy helped them.
I think it was similar to that.
But I still feel like Valengard still got what they wanted.
Pretty more or less.
I mean, they just did it in a better way. So and then how does that affect the rest of the universe?
I know, and honestly, I'm just wondering, why do they need that? I mean,
well, because then they have a constant source of power to make whatever explosives that they want. And then that whole reference to like to the people that sacrificed without knowing it, basically.
We regret that. Like,
we regret people. Right. And again, that goes back a little bit to politics, where the government doesn't give a crap about the people, and I mean, there's a lot of that going on right now. But I don't think we're going to get a resolution to this, because I also, when I looked at the wiki on this just to catch all the actors' names and everything. I saw that Stephen Moffat is apparently not writing anything in the next season.
Oh, he's not really.
Yeah, so if we're going to get more of this, it's going to be later. And apparently that goes back even further.
Valengard is a recurring thing in Moffat episodes.
So we're not going to find out. So I mean, unless he does write something. So I still feel like Valengard is still making a profit. The T-Rex room in the Time Hotel. So I guess I guess the people in the Time Hotel must have set up that room because obviously there would not be a building there. So I was like,
actually
okay.
thinking that like when
They sort of
when
set
they
it
were
up
saying,
like Tom Sawyer.
when they
or
were
something
saying like 65 million years ago, I was thinking, oh, the star is going to be the thing that like wipes out all the dinosaurs, but that didn't actually.
Oh, that's another
I was
thought.
I was
didn't
thinking
think of
that's
that.
what was going to happen, but it didn't end up happening.
But it didn't happen that. But yeah, because that was actually a meteor. But I was thinking that
like an explosion.
That's actually an interesting thought because who knows, we might not have it right. So
who knows?
Yeah, that would be cool. I didn't think of that. I right away thought it was going to be the Christmas star.
I was thinking T-Rex. But...
I right away thought of that. So that's a good thought. Never thought of that. Yeah. So then at the end of this, like, who are the villains? You know, and because this, this episode.
Who thought it was a good idea to just have like a random stars?
Yeah, but I don't think there was a real.
And also, why is it always Earth? Like, it's always Earth.
Well, because
there's so many other planets. Why did they send it to Earth? It could have been any other planet.
Well, yeah, because I don't know. But the thing of who was the villain here? Valengard. I don't feel was. I feel.
I think it was. But
I feel like the worst villain here was the people involved in Partygate because they took away her mom.
I mean, I guess like indirectly, but I
don't think there was a real solid villain here. I mean, there was some sad. So my takeaway was really that this was a fun episode to be joyful, mostly.
Kind of. Yes.
Because it was the Christmas episode, and I sort of took away from that. And
but I was thinking it was going to be like a part of an overarching thing, but it did.
Yeah, because we didn't really get much more Valengard. That was it, and then it was over. They sort of thwarted them, and then So that was sort of my thought on that. So so you don't really have any more thoughts on the villain.
Yeah,
I was just wondering what you, and that so there was that, and that's. The other thing that I was thinking that the episode was too short because there was so much going on. Because I always feel like it was so frenetic, especially at the beginning. But I just wanted more of it. But I'm glad they tied it all together with the rope, essentially.
Pretty much.
So and then that nice touch with Anita at the end going to work for the Time Hotel.
I hope we see more of her. I don't.
I
don't know, but. I do hope we see more of her.
Yeah.
There were quite a few people.
There's a lot of really nice characters that they're developing and that you want to see more of. And I think that's good in a way that because then they can always bring them back later.
And it is good. Like I'm thinking probably the new companion like who we did see in Boom like that. I think they're probably gonna like tie that back in.
Yeah, we'll see. So, I don't know. So we're gonna have to wait for that. It's gonna take a while. May.
May. Is it May? Oh,
May.
Wow.
So it'll be a while before we have another episode on Doctor Who. So I think. Do you have anything more to say specifically about this episode? Because if not, I just want to.
Not about this.
I just want to mention that art we saw yesterday.
Oh yes. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's sort of the end of our synopsis of this Christmas special for 2024 Doctor Who. But I just wanted to end off talking about, it's still Doctor Who related. But yesterday we saw some art. I did not purchase it, but it was great. And if you're a Doctor Who fan, I would suggest you looking it up. So I'm going to make sure I get this right because we've talked about art before. So we love that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to bring this up. We were at we were actually on a little trip. Yeah. We might talk a little bit about that in a future podcast. But we saw this store. It was called the Pop Gallery by Hoi Polloi. I'll put a link. And they had like a bunch of uncommon art. And there were several pieces there by an artist named Curtis Epperson. And I looked him up, and he describes himself as, well, it could be a she. No, it's Curtis Epperson. Intellectual art for the puzzled mind. And I called it Words and Pictures, Drawings with Words, and he calls himself Word Mosaic Artist. That's what he calls himself.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And they had this really great piece, he made this really great piece with the TARDIS. And the words are Doctor Who characters. And so I'm going to put a link to it if you're interested in it. I bought something for your dad instead, but I'm going to keep it in my back pocket, and maybe one day you might see it on my shelf.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's not too expensive. I think it's $30 US, so it's it's not not too expensive when it comes to art, because it's just a print. I'm sure that the actual piece of art is worth much more than that. But if you were really into Doctor Who art, this I thought was very, very cool. He has other stuff too, anime stuff, and there was a Star Trek stuff, and then there's also musicians. Like the piece I actually ended up buying was David Bowie. For my husband, so
As a gift, yeah.
As a gift. So very, very cool. It's like David Bowie and like stuff of David Bowie stuff, making the words of that, making the shape of David Bowie as Ziggy Stardust, I believe. So yeah, very cool stuff. I recommend checking this guy out, and because I really, really, really like that that Doctor Who piece. It was actually, did I say it was a TARDIS? It was a TARDIS.
Yeah.
A TARDIS made out of words. And so I recommend it. So I guess other than that, this is I guess one of our shorter episodes.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit shorter. This one's going back to school, so we will be apart for our next episode more than likely, and then back together for another one. But stay tuned for that. And we still have we started reviewing Skeleton Crew, but not all the episodes are done yet. So you're gonna have to wait a little bit for that, a couple months, so that because I think we want to be together to watch the last episodes. And then we will have a future podcast on that. Yeah. Is that fair to say?
Yes, we will. Yep.
Okay. Other than that, we wanted to thank you for listening. And as usual, being part of the Birds on Power Lines podcast.